Fitness Pro Mentor community, welcome to another episode. I'm really excited. This is a bit different. Strategist turned 7 at the beginning of September, and this is the gym that I own, and I'm really proud of it. But one of the things that's really exciting is that gyms like us are all over the world. These one-on-one micro gyms that have personal training as a high emphasis with unique expertise, and there are people that I really look up to. And so what we're going to do for this entire month, this is part 1 of 3, maybe more, where I'm going to interview friends of mine internationally who've opened up gyms, and we're going to ask them some questions about why the heck they decided to dive in. But today we're going to start off with someone who is a returning guest, slightly different tone, Mr. Curtis Clay of Curtis Clay Training. Clay, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Had some technical difficulties trying to sign on today, but I think we're good. No, I'm doing good, man. Just keeping busy. School year starting here, and getting that going, and getting a lot of phone calls from new people. So, and then raising 2 kids. So, but things are good.
I can relate to that.
I bet, yeah, dude, for sure.
So listen, Curtis, today I want to have a bit of a different conversation with you today. We've talked in the past. We've just talked about, like, we've done Q&As together. We've talked about you as a trainer, but you have done something that takes a ton of work, a lot of energy, and you've taken the undertaking on. Is it 6 years ago you opened up Curtis Clay Training?
Yeah, I opened this space, I'd say about that 7 years ago. Yeah, something like that. Get my own space.
Yeah. So, man, if you're okay with it, can I dive into a bunch of questions about why the heck you decided to open a gym?
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Dive on in.
So why did you decide to open a gym?
I love it. Yeah. So, I mean, when I first started, I got out of college. I was going to go do my master's and stuff. I had a couple paid internships or grad assistantships, and came home because my godfather wasn't doing good health-wise. So I want to spend that time with him. So did that. And then realized, like, man, I don't know if I want to go back. I feel like I want to kind of, get going, but I need some experience. So I did an internship here at a baseball facility where I did hitting and fielding, and he had me do some speed work, some strength work there. They didn't have the best weight room there. It was like 90s, dude. It was great. And so I started doing that, and then I ended up just doing the strength stuff, speed stuff for athlete, quote unquote, development there. And then as time went on, I realized, like, the business side of things, as in the owner's main objective was to smash money, right? Like, whether it was like, which I'm not saying is bad. Like, I mean, we need to make money. Money is a tool we can use. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. We should for sure make money. But, like, he would put like a 10-year-old, I'd have like an 18-year-old scheduled or a 17-year-old for a session. And then I would show up that day and there's like a 10-year-old with them. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? So you just got to do it. So I think that was kind of the frustrating part for me. So as I got busier, I realized that I was being limited. So I was limited on the things I wanted to organize and orchestrate and the way I wanted to do things. Because, I mean, I was an employee, which was like fine. I mean, being an employee is not bad, or independent contractor is not bad. But if the person doesn't really see your vision of where things can be, and they're so, like, holding yourself back, or they're stuck in their ways, that's when I was like, dude, I might need to go start my own thing. But I was scared. For sure I was scared. And then I started this 6 months into marriage, and the rest is history. So I really started my own thing because I wanted to have my, like, autonomy to do what I felt was best for my clients. And with that being said, I can keep an eye on my finances. I can keep an eye on what my overhead is. I can keep an eye on the tools I can get, that type of stuff. And so that's why I started my own thing, where I was like, I didn't want anybody else to limit me when it came to the decisions and services and how I wanted to provide them. And so that's probably the main driver of why I started my own thing, which was, I mean, it was 10 years ago in June. So, and I got my own facility, whenever you just said that was. So, but yeah, dude, I mean, that's kind of why I started. I don't like feeling limited. If I'm limiting myself, I can look in the mirror and make adjustments. But if others are limiting me, I have a hard time with that.
Totally get that, man. And I think that's funny. Like, when you think about, like, entrepreneurship, you said something there that just kind of triggered a thought in my head, that you see so many people who are like, well, I want to be an entrepreneur. But truthfully, most people like you and I, and I'd say others that we're going to be talking to in the next few weeks, you don't get into it to become an entrepreneur or because you want to open a business. It's rather that you felt limited with what you had available to you before, and you can just see where there are some holes, and you try to just solve a problem. And then all of a sudden, in the venture of trying to solve some problems, you end up becoming that thing called an entrepreneur,
right?
Which for you, 6 years ago, you opened up brick and mortar.
Yeah, man. I mean, I opened that up, which has been massive. I mean, it's been a huge, because you can create the culture you want. You can create the culture you want. You can get the tools you want. Like I just ordered two new racks
Nice.
yesterday, which would be great for team stuff and whatnot. So I sold my, I'm selling my Elite FTS racks, and I got 2 more Sornex racks. So it'll just open up flow. You know, who doesn't like flow? So, you know, but yeah, dude, I mean, that's the thing is I wanted to solve that problem. And then now it's like, okay, how do I button up my systems and make sure they're solid so that I can continue to do why I opened this place up? Yeah. Sometimes as a, you know, like everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. If you get into it to like, I'm gonna make a bunch of money. Yeah. I mean, high risk, high reward, right? I mean, you're taking all the risk. There can be higher reward, but then from there, you have to be responsible, I believe, with those tools or the money that you get to project out ahead. So I think there's a lot more sacrifice you make as an entrepreneur, which I don't think I would have it any other way. You know, but once I built out my systems, I can just focus on Brandon. Yeah. Hey, I got time to do this today, right? School starting. So this summer was buck wild. It was super busy. So now I'm like on a school schedule, which is great. And then, but yeah, dude, I mean, it just depends, but having your why do you want to do this? Right. And is it justified to do it versus I want to do it because I want to make bank? Like, okay, you're going to work 60-hour weeks, if not 80, when you first start out, because the hard part is like, it's hard for me to work out here sometimes because I come in and what do? I mean, you probably do the same thing. I'm not like, oh, we're going to do legs today. I'm like, oh, why is that banner hanging sideways a little bit? Oh, wait, you know what I'm saying? So that's a little shift too. So like I've been starting to go and work out somewhere else outside of here, which I would call like a bodybuilding gym, which has been great because I've been doing some work with some body or figure competitors. And it's been good to get change of scenery, you know, because like this is like my office, you know, so there's a lot that goes into it, you know, but I don't think I would change it for anything.
I got it, man. So we got your why. How did you open your gym? Because I have a lot of people who ask like, hey, I want to open a gym. And like, once you button up your why and once you get your avatar dialed in, you got some strategy and systems in place. How did you go about opening your gym? Broad question.
Yeah. For me, how I saved. And the reason, I mean, I view money differently now. What I mean by that is how I grew up. We lived, you know, there's nights I didn't have dinner. There was, you know, we lived off credit cards. I thought credit cards were evil.
Yeah.
But then I realized that is another tool, you know, as I got older and stuff like that. So like, I mean, you can leverage debt in so many different ways. So like, if you're like, well, okay, I'm going to make this work and go, why not just take out a loan and do it? But I didn't do it that way because I was scared of those things. So I saved, talked to my wife, and we saved, put a certain amount of money per month from when I was renting from another place per month and save money. And I got the necessities I thought I needed. And then I negotiated the lease here well, where they would build a new bathroom because I needed an 88 bathroom. And it's just a box here with a wall in the middle. So I have I call it my quiet side and my loud side, essentially. Kind of like your spot where you got that one room and you got all your stuff. Yeah, you know.
Dude, we're the same, man. I got the 2 units. So it's got the loud banging side and then there's the quieter side. I love it.
Yeah, man. So and then I just hit the ground running from there. And then as I continue to make more money, like that tool will be good. Or I'm gonna look on Craigslist, or I'm gonna look here. Like, you know, I can't find this thing anywhere, and I really want it. Is my return of investment gonna be good with this? Yeah, I think it will be. Okay, great. So I saved money and then slowly added as time went on. Is how I opened it essentially, with getting the equipment, that type of stuff, and I didn't have anybody else do anything else. Like I laid the flooring. I moved the machine. No, I hired somebody to get the machines. They got a massive truck. So it was one, and then I rolled them out, you know, so everything I tried to do when I first started, I would do it, like everything. Now, having 2 kids, my time is being requested more, which is an honor. I need to offload some of the tasks, as in cleaning the gym regularly, whatever it's but I kind of enjoy steam cleaning here. So I did that this weekend and we did everything. And there's certain stuff I won't let go, because I know I'm going to do it really well. But yeah, delegating. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. Delegating has been better. So yeah, when I first started out, I was doing everything and I was cool with it because I'm like, let's make this something, and I think it can be more than what it is, but it's been more than what I thought it would be. So,
Yeah.
I mean, things always change.
Well, in our small community, I would say that what you've built through advertising and all that, you've definitely made it a standout spot. And I think a lot of people who have that athletic, but also that kind of nerdy background combined together see your spot and they're like, this is a pretty sick spot. Speaking of doing everything, man, when I open this spot, I don't know what if we have the stall mats for the rubber floor, like the 6x4, 3/4 inch rubber mats. And I unloaded all of those alone because no one was here. And then I cut them. And I don't know if have you ever cut that stuff?
I have, and I wouldn't do it again.
Dude, I did so much. And then on that same day, when in the place here, anywhere you see gray paint was bright red when I bought it. So I cut all the mats and I was like, okay, I'll do something easier. And I painted everything for 4 hours. The next day I've never had forearm pain. I physically couldn't move my hands like past here because it was just so much gripping stuff. It was brutal. But you just put the time and you just kind of make it happen when you're starting off at that level.
Yeah, dude, you put your head down and go. Like I mean, I think the most expensive thing in here is the floor, to be honest. Like the turf that I got was like expensive. I got a custom cushion underneath, and then I got rolls. And I made sure that the thickness of the turf, lined up millimeter wise with the black floor on this side. So it's like a smooth transition. So like attention to detail, that kind of stuff. That's that nerdy stuff, right? That's that whole entire nerdy stuff. So when you have that nerdy stuff going on, you can tie all that in and it goes pretty good from there. So yeah, dude, that's fun though. Like you don't forget that stuff.
No. I mean, that's the fun thing is you walk through your facility and you see every corner. And you're like, oh yeah, I did that thing there. Yeah. Even just today, like right before I sent you the link, I literally was painting some black paint on a corner where I was just touching the black paint. It's just, it's fun. I like it.
Yeah, dude.
So why? Awesome. How? What did you do in your first year to help get your business off the ground?
Talk to everybody. Not in a pushy way, but I put myself in scenarios and situations to spark conversations. Because what I realized, hold on, I'm gonna move this because my battery, let me go like this and lower. Sorry, hopefully this doesn't mess with the flow. I talked to everybody, dude. I mean, I would go talk to everybody. Can I talk to this person? Can I talk to that person? Can I, that's what I probably did and put myself out there and like being okay with somebody saying like, nope, I'm okay. Cause it wasn't about me, right? Like my why is I wanted to help people, not just athletes. I got known for athletes cause I started that baseball facility, but now I'm getting like adults, I'm getting everybody. Right. And so that's the biggest thing that I found is like the first year I put myself out there and I go ask questions and I talk to whoever. And then there's times like in the mornings, like I was like, you know what, we don't have kids yet, but I'd like to get off a little bit earlier, thinking ahead. I was like, well, if I have a couple morning slots, that could help balance that out a little bit. So what did I do? I would go fake grocery shopping, bro. I would go grab a grocery cart, walk through, like no joke, like when I was not having a session, and I would go walk through and grab a thing of bread or grab this. And like, hey, how you doing? Talk to people. I'm like, are you okay? You want me to roll your cart out? You're kind of hurt or, whatever it is. Or like you'd see like a mom might see me of like, she'd heard of me through other kids that came in. It was like, are you Curtis? I'm like, and I had time. So I would just talk to people, right? Or I would go to teams. I'm like, hey, I'd love to talk to your team. Set up time to talk. Or, hey, do you mind if I come do like before practice, come do you guys warm up? Right. And then just like soft introductions. So if I could do that, I think that some cool things would happen. And that's what I did is put myself out there. And it's like, I pretty much said yes to everything. Unless it was awkward. Like it was no, that's not going to work, and through that process, I learned a lot. I learned how to talk to teams. I learned how to, orchestrate. I learned how to set up like, a form that they would get showing like, hey, here's the services we provide. And here's how I go about it after I meet with them. And I would just learn all this stuff. I've probably learned a lot of things that don't work and things that do work. And cool thing about that is I have younger guys that come in or girls that come in like, well, I want to do this. I'm like, cool, this. And I throw a couple ideas in like, well, I wouldn't have thought of that. I'm like, I've thought of all of that. I've tried most of it. And I found for me what works and what doesn't work. But I think the hard part is when you're starting out a business, especially fitness wise, you might be attracted to, let's say, Strata and how you guys are doing marketing and how you guys are doing things. Dude, you can't copy and paste because the essence of how you guys operate it works for you guys in that area, and there's already like market share of people are already talking about what you guys are doing. If you try to do that somewhere else and you have no lay of the land or the culture, if you go to Mississippi, dude, or Alabama, like fitness is not massive there. Sports are. So you want to get somebody who's like, hey, do you have this weird ache and pain? Like, no, dude, I want to go buy bread, or well, here, I want to go get gas. I don't want to go pay for sessions, whatever it is. So how do you figure those things out? So if you can like, hey, I like that, but how do I make it fit for me? That I think is probably the most crucial thing. Get inspired, but don't just stop there. Take that and then progress it from there where it fits you and what you want to do,
Yeah. I got a buddy who's a professional drummer. He's well known, ridiculous. And I remember he was talking to me that like he always accidentally will watch other professional drummers and see something, goes, oh, that was sick. And he can totally do the thing that they can do. But he goes, what he does, he watches it for a minute. He doesn't watch it again. And he tries to remember, like he just tries to recall what essence of it stood out to him. So he takes one little nugget of it and then creates his own version of it from that one essence instead of like photocopying it.
Yeah.
And that's how he makes sure that even though, he's at whatever level, he's consistently innovating off that one thing and not copy and pasting. And I think that's what's critical. Like, even with, I gotta say, like, there's one thing, you've been doing these like high energy, hectic looking videos. They're sick. Like you got glitching going on. You got a video in the background, another video over top and all this stuff. Works really well for that young athlete demographic. I won't lie. I saw it and I got inspired, but I took a small component of it. I didn't like do the same thing. I put a video in the background. I put a Twitter post style thing over top of it. So you saw motion in the background. It was really like a little bit of opacity, but nothing crazy.
Right.
But it was inspired by you. And that's what I love about this is that you should look at stuff that's working and get inspired.
I agree with that, and like, so like if you look at the theme of that, right, because I work with adults that are hurt and I also work with athletes. So we will post the athlete stuff, gets a little more traction just because they'll share it, which is fine. And it gets them excited. Like sometimes at first what I notice is they need an external locus. So if they see a video of them posted online, they're pumped up. But then the adult stuff I post, I've been doing more. I do it with the athletes too, but with adults, like I had a guy recently where he had a pretty serious shoulder injury, and we just did literally a tricep extension, right? Built for him, so the resistance profile, so you can feel his shoulder move, and it's just me talking through it. Like as an adult, if I look at a video like that hype video, or if I look at like blaring music in the background, I'm like, what am I getting from that? But from the adult demographic, they're going to go to my Instagram. They might go to the Facebook. They might go to Twitter. But if they can then see that video and see the captions, because I don't know, dude, I like captions, like not for Instagram, but like when I'm watching TV. And I think that started when we had light, because like we couldn't have the TV on, but she'd be sleeping with us. So I'm like, hey, Jackie, I kind of like these captions. She's like, me too. So we just kind of kept it. And so if you can read and see what's going on, like, oh, wow, this is kind of intentional. You're conveying to them like we are intentional with the quality of the video, the quality audio that you're using, and then like you're thinking about these things and how to grab their attention. So for the adult side, they're like, huh, interesting. And I'll get parents will come in and they'll see me train another adult and they're like dropping their kid off. I'm like, you work with adults? I'm like, yeah, adults have muscles too. Yeah. So yeah, dude, I've been getting inspired by others. Like, I feel like I get inspired by non-fitness people too, like, wow, there's this consulting company. They did something for a company I like. And I was like, I really like how they did the lighting. I really like how they did that. How can I do that? My lighting's not very good here at the gym, but how can I potentially do that to where, because you want what draws you in probably will draw others in. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, dude, I feel that though. I think it's important I don't think there's anything new under the sun, but I think that we can take something and essentially create it to where we have our own twist on it, Yeah. So
I love it. I got another question for you, but I got to say on the caption note, I lived in China for 6 months, like 13 years ago, and I got captioned out because I watched Harry Potter with Chinese, but it was all captions. So after the end of that, I was like, this is enough captions for me in my life.
I'm done. I'm done.
Tapped out.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
So next question. Did you have a team, like a team of trainers or people that were going to work with you when you started? And if you didn't, how did you grow it?
I love it. Yeah, no, I did not. So how do I put this? I would say no. Just put it.
Just put it.
So I was looking for a smaller space when I started.
Me too.
But I could not find the space that I was envisioning. Then I saw this space, saw the financial numbers. I'm like, I can do this by myself. Right. But then there's two guys that are going through another course that I was helping assist in. Shout out to Matt Bernier. Love
What's up,
you.
Bernier?
Hopefully you love the book. So they were coming in and I was like, okay, well, this would be great. So then I kind of reconfigured how to do the gym. And so I wasn't expecting a bunch. So that those guys came in. One of them's still here. One guy works for another company. But then now I'm realizing that people do want to come in. But essentially, if you start with a team, that's a whole different thing. So I don't know if I can give a lot of advice for that. Communication is crucial, though. Like, if Brandon, you're, I would say you're overseeing everything. How well we communicate to the people that are with us on our team and what they need from us is crucial. So communication, I think, is crucial, right? Like, I don't want the guys here to feel like I'm an authoritarian figure, because I'm not. There are certain things like, yo, bro, like, dude, the towels are out. Just put the towels in. You just urinated in there, you know, just stuff like that. That's a different thing. But if it's like, hey, you want to talk about some stuff, how are you doing, or whatever it is, if you're able to communicate well, because everybody communicates differently, then from there, that's crucial. But when I started by myself, essentially, all I think you need to do is operate at a high level, right? So that guy that I worked with was like sustained effort over time. If you have high quality sustained effort over time, people will be attracted to that. And a buddy of mine posted here, I think I don't want to get out of here. He posted this thing. It was unbelievable. And I'm going to butcher it because I'll probably take too much time finding the screenshot, but essentially said, stop trying to become successful. Stop trying to become successful. Become a high value provider of whatever it is. You know, build your value and others will want to pull you in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying from that, where I'm trying to go with that is, if you provide a high quality service worth a lot of value, and I don't care how you add the value, whether it's you charge more per money or people see that you're an authority in the area, or whatever it is, if you provide value, people will pull you in, which will help make you successful. And as a business owner, if you bring other guys in or other girls in, you guys can help more people. You get to be successful by providing a job for them, doing what they love to do in a non-box commercial gym. And then there could be more money made. You can get more space. You can help more people. You can help more charities. There's so many things you can do. So I think if you, as the person that are starting on your own and you do want people in, show how high value you are. And I think if you do that by providing, you know, we've talked about this in the past, but like being good as a technician, mechanic, and then your role switches towards like, now I got to organize things, whatever it is. Get really good at what you do and work on your communication skills with professionals, medical, whatever it is, and you'll stand out. Like, your name will keep coming up. That's how I just got this new gig, you know. So like, over years, they kept hearing my name. They asked me to come do a camp, do the warm up, and now they're like, we want you to come in. I'm essentially doing a job that it's not out there. It's a brand new job. So, which, if Mac, you see this, I got to call you. I was going to call you and talk to you about that. I'm excited for that. Anyways, so provide high value and things will work out. So
I love it. I've kind of stepped back to like the old RTS missing link that Tom did for a little while. He just said results and experience. You know, like, you gotta make sure the experience is good, and that's great if you're a cool and fun person, but you also have to make sure that you're getting the results. And if you're getting a combination of those, that's going to create a high value.
Dude, I mean, I don't know how much you pay for marketing. I don't pay for marketing. The only right? Like, I mean, I'd rather use those resources somewhere else. Like, the marketing I'll do is, like, if there's a high school team and they need help with getting equipment, but they'll hang a banner of yours up. Great. I know that money goes back to the kids. Or I might do a charity, like an auction or something like that. Like, if I trust the people and I know it's going to be used for good, I'll for sure do that. But I think that's a huge thing, right? And that's why I love Tom so much, where it's like, if your people are talking about you, right? Wow, this guy's really good. Well, I mean, it's different, not weird different, but it's very built around me, you know, because some people try to be different, right? I would rather challenge the fitness dogma that's out there of like, I'm going against the grain. I'm going to be that fish going the opposite way when everybody else is going this way. And I'm going to do a good job, and I'm going to be okay with that. And when you are secure in your identity in that and providing it a good service, people are going to talk to them like, dude, you got to go see this guy. What does he do? I don't know. He's a muscle guy. It's crazy, but he's very specific, you know. Or some people are like, he's kind of scary, but then when you talk to him, you realize he's really nice. I'm like, what? What? I mean, Brant, I don't look scary. I'm a nice guy.
Dude, that
So
beard is villainous, man. Are you kidding me?
it's a little dry right now. It's a little
Uh,
smoky. We got some fire. We got some fires near. So it's a little. I'm a little dry. But yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, provide high value. People will talk for you, and you go from there. But I think as your reputation, I mean, look what you guys are doing up there, man. That's why I'm so bummed. Like, people like, oh, I got something in Canada. I'm like, hey, how close are you guys to Newmarket? Oh, that's kind of a. That's why I texted you recently. I'm like, oh, it's kind of a drive. I'm like, dang it, dude. Baseball players had Tommy John. Like I'm just like, oh man. So it's like, I know you guys will do a good job. I know that it'll be a good environment. And the more people you find around internationally, like the other guests you're going to have on, like their expertise, I've been inspired by them and seeing what they do. And you're like, wow, dude, that's unbelievable. And you're like, okay, I'm not alone in this. I can build a gym like this and do a good job, So, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that it just really comes down to consistency. Like you're kind of nailing it there. But if you do a consistently good job, you'll build your reputation, and then you can have a team that will grow around you. Now, you do have a pretty decent team now. Like you got some good people there, some people that have newer people. How would you say you have managed and gone about? You said like trying to not be a hierarchical leader, but you got to be kind of an authoritarian, because at certain times someone, pees and leaves the door open or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But how have you handled growing your personal training team of professionals and supporting their growth?
Yeah, really. I think it's being vulnerable, like in a normal way, like. Because like for me, like the exciting part for me is I like having discussions. Like this discussion's great. I like having discussions of like, hey, why did you choose to do that with that client? Right. And the hard part is when you ask that question, people think you're challenging them when really I'm just curious. Right. And so I had to work on my approach of how to like ask those questions, go that route. But if you open the doors of like, yo, dude, I don't even know what to call this exercise. What would you call it? Right. Or hey, can we spend time and figure out we can all get on the same page of like labeling exercises, right? We're going to go supine first or prone or whatever. If we create an exercise, can we get on the same taxonomy, nomenclature, whatever it is? And so I think that's been a really cool aspect of that. But the more you are communicating with them and making them feel like, yo, dude, it's not like this. It's like we're here, right? Now I know that I'm doing these other tasks over top with like rent and blah blah and communicating and building relationships, trying to get teams in and stuff. But like I want your feedback. And I think if you give them autonomy and you like you tell them you have autonomy and then they come to you with an idea, you're like, run with it. See, let me know how it goes. Right. And then check in with me. Great. But if you're like, well, have you thought through this? I mean, well, what about this? Like, that's not going to work, blah, blah. And you shut them down, just like with kids, man.
Yeah.
Like honor, like, dude, stop doing that. Don't do that. Right. Like put your diaper back on or what? I don't know. Like, they have to be able to explore and feel safe that way. Right. So I think if you build a safe culture where that stuff can happen, good things can happen. And that's all I've tried to do. And I've also on that flip side showed them like I work hard and I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to do a good job. I think that we have to set that example too with 100%. Building the team. But if your words and actions don't line up, they're going to call crap on you or, they're going to be like, no, so open communication, safe culture to communicate, throw ideas out. Almost like I use Daniel Coyle's example talking about culture code where he says like which people built a higher, tower out of spaghetti and marshmallows, the MBAs or the 5-year-olds. Like the 5-year-olds did. They would like yell at each other and they were safe to say what they want to say. So if you build a culture where it's safe and you want to learn or like provide study sessions, hey, as a group, let's grow together, right? Or, hey, you need to work on communication or being a leader. I want you to lead the study session today. You pick the topic, let us dive in. We're going to ask questions and go from there. However it is, I think it just depends, but you have to build a safe environment for that stuff to happen, So
100%.
Yeah. How have you done that?
I love you asking that, man. Thank you very much. It's a lot of the same. I think getting people talking and being in the same space is super important. Like one thing that's really, really an honor is that our team has grown quite a bit. I think we've got 8 people as of today. I just had somebody new sign on. And it's exactly as you said, like as a leader, you have to lead by example. Like you have to work hard. In my opinion, you have to be the hardest working person in the room and you got to clean up after yourself. You have to show up. I remember I told Tom when I first opened, I was like, yeah, I can't wait to the day that I don't have to work as much. He goes, don't do that. said, what? He goes, even if you're rich, show up 8 to 5. I said, what do you mean? He goes, because if you stop showing up, so will they. If you stop working hard, so will they. And I try to live that every single day, that no matter what, I want to be the hardest working one in the room, not because I want to be that guy, because I want people to see that the way I communicate, the things I advocate for, the education, we're all doing it. I'm doing it. And then that's what's great, is that if I've got a full client schedule and people are like, I want to be like Brandon, I guess. Cool. Well, how do we do that? Well, you got to do a good job. You have to communicate. And so I think that's helped to bring a good team environment. And then we have an axe throwing place next door. We throw axes. And so every year we go once a year and we do there. It's a good team building event. Helps a ton.
Right. I love it.
Yeah, man. I love it.
Yeah, dude.
So, gym owner, after 6 months of being open, having your own brick and mortar facility, what was like the biggest surprise that came from actually having a brick and mortar facility and being full on brick and mortar entrepreneur?
Oh man, dude. Like surprise as in like
wasn't expecting that when I opened this.
How many people showed up?
Nice.
Like new people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
The people that I was with already, they obviously were like excited to come over and stuff. But I think having a brick and mortar where clients can call, like they can plant their flag. We're like, this is my other safe space. This is my second home. This is where I go. I'm familiar with it. I think that was a big value that I didn't realize, right? Like you have a space, they're familiar with it. It feels like home. I get challenged here, but if it feels like home, I think about my kids, right? They'll do some dumb stuff, but I wouldn't call it dumb. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? They feel safe with us as parents to do things that might look dumb or are a little dangerous or on our jumps off stuff, but they know that we're there to be with them. And so I think having the environment, there's a psychology part where it's like, okay, I'm going to push myself today, try some hard stuff. And I'm safe though. So I think with that being said, having a space where you can build that environment, I think that's probably the biggest surprise. And I think that's a reason why we talked about this before, but like having a safe place. I think that's why a lot of people came in. They're like, oh, this is cool. Or I've never seen anything like this. Or, he's got red turf or, like cool, it's red turf, whatever. I did it on purpose. But, there's just things where like, then they start to, then having the brick and mortar shows them how you operate, how you think up here. They get to see like, wow, he's got all these signs up and he's got all these words that define the space. And like, wow, he thinks about all these things. Yeah, you're showing people who you are. Is the space clean? Are you not? Is your mind not clean? Are you organized? Are you thinking through these things? So I think it's another interview portion, So I think that's what was the biggest thing. I was surprised how many new people came in, and which was humbling, and also like a pat on the back. No, it was more like you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's funny about the opening the door thing and people showing up. And you just said something, and I would like to throw this as a piece of advice to anyone that's listening to this, and I'm sure you'll agree. When we first opened, we had the same thing. A ton of people showed up like, well, this is new. This is cool. What are you guys doing in here? And I would say, I'm going to say this like broadly, everyone showed up. Right,
Yeah.
Different demographics, different psychographics. People wanted gym memberships, people wanted group training, people who wanted pain management stuff, people who wanted some weight loss stuff, and everyone showed up. And at the very beginning, I tried to cater to all of them because I was so insecure that I needed more money. I was like, well, I need to figure out how to make this all work. And it wasn't until I started like focusing on one of those people or two in like a really focused sense that these are all the rules of what we do in here. We don't do this. We don't have an open gym membership, but if you're doing training with us, we do have a membership. That's how this works. And it wasn't until we did that not everyone showed up, but the right person showed up.
Yeah, dude, that's huge.
And I think I want to just like my advice would be to whoever's listening to this, don't just like let anybody in. Like that sounds terrible. Try to cater to everyone, but like don't modify your business model, I should say, for anyone that walks in the door.
Right.
Because I think that you end up sacrificing a lot by doing that.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I mean, you're going to spread yourself thin, right? So Thomas Sowell would say, he talked about essentially universities, right? So about universities and how it needs to fit the student, right? So, and that goes into a different topic that I won't get into, but he was essentially saying that the university needs to match the person, right? So if the person is getting in because the college needs to hit a certain quota, and then they have to drop out because it was too hard, that wasn't a good fit. So if you look at it that way of like, how can you make sure that what you want to do and are good at will match the person's needs in front of you? And if it doesn't, it's okay to recommend them somewhere else or whatever it is. Because with that being said, if it doesn't match up, then all of a sudden they're going to get frustrated. You're going to get frustrated. And it's not that you're not being genuine and not wanting to help or be rude, but you're like, hey, this, how we operate and go about things and who we want to serve, we might not be the best fit, but I think if you're honest with somebody, they'll be like, okay, cool. And the hard part is you get these, I call them sensation hoppers. They'll go like, oh, there's a new place, let's go check it out. Then they love it for 2 months and they're like, what's the new sensation? And I'm looking for this, or, like bar's amazing. Or then I go to CrossFit and, this new thing that, these professional football players opened up, like that place is awesome. It's all group classes. All you need. It's all you need. And then then they come back to you because like, oh, I'm hurt. Like, okay, we can kind of do those things, but do it in a more strategic manner. So sometimes the initial people that come in, you got to be careful because they might be like, you're new, I like you, versus like, you've been here for 10 years. You guys have grown and changed, but like, I want something new, so it's just tough. Right. So, and if you say yes too much, you then are setting yourself up to not say yes more to the people that actually need you. If you're so busy to where it's like, gosh, that person that just called is the best fit for what we do and I want to help them, then yes. Like I listened to this thing, this guy said, he's like, saying yes is expensive. Right. So when you say yes, it's expensive because it takes mental, with us, it's like you're planning, you're training, it takes a lot of energy, but learning to say no when it's not the right fit actually frees up space to where you can get somebody in where it's like, now I'm going to focus my energy on this, to where it's like, that's a good fit for there. But I get it. I mean, we have to pay bills. We got to pay stuff. So like, if you say yes and yes and yes, it's crucial. Like I remember Tom used to say, if you got your whole schedule and then 2:00 comes around on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever it is, you're like, oh, I got that person at 2. And the rest of your day is awful because it's just like they drain you so much, He told
me to charge triple for that guy.
Yeah, right. Be mindful of those things, right? So
yeah,
saying yes is expensive, so making sure that it's a right fit. Like you talk about an avatar, find your avatar and stick with that. And it might start in the beginning where you're a little more general and then you realize like, I'm really good with this avatar.
Yeah.
I'm now going to go this route. Great. Do that. That's fine. So yeah, man.
Beauty. Listen, we got 11 minutes and I got 3 questions for you. So we're going to see if we bang these out. One's an easy one.
Okay.
Shorter. So how have you had to pivot your model over the last 6 years to adjust to unexpected stuff that has popped up? Or have you?
Yeah. Have I pivoted? Yeah, I mean, we have a lot more athletes that want to come in, that want to do the Athlete Academy. So, I mean, we could probably just run Academy every day, every hour.
That's awesome.
Would I do that? No. The reason why I wouldn't is because if I don't feel like they're ready for that and they don't have the self-efficacy, no. Now, if I did switch it that way, I think it would be more of a headache because of the fact that I've had to, oh my gosh, they're not deadlifting very well, or oh my gosh, that lunge is so bad, or whatever it is. So figuring that out. But what I've had happen is I've had a lot more adults want to call in and get in like after work, and I don't work late because I want to be home for dinner. That's a decision I made for my kids. We had kids, and for my wife. Like I used to work like 9 to 9, right when I first started. Awful. Most of us probably have, and I don't work that anymore because I want to be home with my kids. I want to tuck them in. I want to be with them, and I can do that. So that's been an adjustment I have to make. So if I might need to find somebody to where they can take on those night hours.
Yeah.
Other than that, the pivot wise, probably actually thinking about the pivot wise is getting somebody in to focus on team stuff. And Quentin's done an amazing job with that. We got a new guy, Vinny, coming in, and he's going to help. And that'll be a great time to, yeah, Vinny's great, dude. I trained both those guys when they're like 13, and now they're like men, which is crazy.
Does Vinny drive a muscle car?
No.
Fast and the Furious?
No. He should though. He should. I'll tell him that when I see him next. Like,
You should.
sell your car and go watch Fast and Furious and get that car.
You need a challenge. Let's go.
Yeah. So I mean, I think onboarding people to where they can take the team stuff, like the big team stuff, and then through that's probably been a pivot. But like that new job I had a meeting with them, and I was like, hey, I'm doing this, so I'll be gone once a week in the mornings. Like, okay, I was like, so I might need to unload some more morning stuff to you guys. So I don't know if there's been a massive pivot. I think the only thing like I used to do, like at the other place I was at, they used to do drop-in by River. They used to do drop-in stuff, and I realized that doesn't work. That's probably a pivot I made where I'm like, no, either you're going to commit or you're not to like this 11 weeks or 12 weeks for, athlete stuff, because like with athletes and young people and really just adults, we get pulled in so many different directions that if you don't commit to yourself for an extended amount of time, you might get frustrated because you're not getting the results you want. So I don't know if there's been a massive pivot. I mean, during COVID, I went online. That was a big pivot. And now I was just back open and, blah, 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 blah. But
yeah,
not any massive pivots.
Cool. Big question. And this one would be a little bit more complicated, but one thing that I think super important for any entrepreneur or any business person in general when they're getting started, at least up to their first financial goal they have for themselves, maybe buying a house, buying a car, is, focus on one product, one price, one service, and kind of one role. You and I, but I want to ask you have 3 roles, at least that I'm aware of, that I would say are like primary, easy to identify roles. You are fitness specialist, professional gym floor technician, business owner, and you are also a teacher for MSS and probably do some of your own stuff as well. So you have 3 things that are technically 3 different businesses that you do all at the same time.
Okay.
How do you juggle all that?
Well, I think it's like in seasons, right? So if I use an analogy, right? Like me, Curtis, who am I? Right? I'm a son, I'm a father, I'm a husband. And depending on the situation I'm in, doesn't mean that any of those go away, but the percentage of what it is will take over, right? So like if I'm at home with my kids and I'm playing with my kids, my wife's making dinner or whatever it is, I'm higher percentage parent, right? Versus if it's just my wife and I'm a higher percentage husband. I'm at work, I'm a higher percentage trainer. And I think with those roles, it's depending on the role and situation. And then from there, and I think that comes in seasons, right? Like my kids need us, right? I'm hoping as they get older, they're going to want us just as much, and not like, that kind of stuff, which I think I'll be sad when that happens. But I think that's how I kind of look at those things, right? So certain times of the day might leverage one versus another, right? So in the mornings, I've got a lot of my adults now that school's going again that are hurt and so forth, or like, okay, I feel good now, I want to get going. I'm a gym floor technician. I'm rolling from there. Then on that aspect of like, afternoon time, it's like, okay, now I'm building relationships more with the kids, changing things. How are you doing? What's going on? And then like middle of the day stuff, kind of like right now, it's more of the consulting phone call stuff. So like, it's almost like different parts of the day sit different ones, but I think depending on the role or environment or situation I'm in, I know that 1% will take over. The hard part is like, I went to do that camp at that university here and do the warm-ups. Right. And so like my role was to do the warm-ups. Right. But then they wanted me to stay and observe and that kind of stuff. So I did. But then like parents would come up to me. Oh, do you work here? No, I don't. I'm here as a volunteer. Or they'd want to be like, yeah, my kid's hurt. And then I'd have to go like the technician side. So like I can pull that out and then like, oh, they're asking for me to have that role stick up. So that's a big part based on the environment. And then secondly, the big thing is making the decision to put it in your calendar. Right. So like, that I'm busy. I know that you're busy. You're like, yo, bro, can you do September the 9th at this time? Like, yes, I can make that work. Right. Like, okay, cool. Put it in the calendar. It's done. And when it's in the calendar and I put it down, I commit to that. So that's back to that yes thing. Right. So when I think when I put it in the calendar, it's a yes, I'm on that. Right. So you have to make the decision, but manage that, but understand that you may do different roles within who you are. And you get to make the decision of what roles you want to play. Others will try to push you towards the roles that they want you to play in their world. but in the end, you might not be happy with that. So
I love it.
That's kind of how I do it, I guess.
You got beautiful wisdom, man. I love your words.
Appreciate it, man.
One more question, simple one.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur, personal trainer says, "Hey Curtis, I want to open a gym. What would be the one point of wisdom that you would share with them? What would be the one thing you'd say to someone that tells you they want to open a gym? One piece of advice."
I would say get really good at what you do. I think there's a lot of people that are really good at what they do, and they can figure the business side stuff as it goes on. If you don't have a high value service or high value something, people won't adjust. That makes sense. Like, we don't have a secretary here.
We don't,
right?
Yeah.
So like eventually we may get a secretary. I'd love to have a secretary to do our intake calls, that kind of stuff. No, I think we need to maybe. Yeah. Because we have a form they fill out online before we call them.
Right.
Kind of like a questionnaire to know where we need to talk to like set up the consultations, whatever it is. If you get really good at what you do, people will adjust to that. They know, hey, I don't have a secretary. They're like, okay, keep playing phone tag to get the new client in, whatever it is. They understand that. But I just reflect upon Bernier talking about there's the three things. You probably remember this better than me. But it's like you can be really good at what you do and have bad bedside manner, right? Or you can be on time and maybe be mediocre at what you do. Like, he talked about these different points. And I really think if you're really, really good at what you do, people will adjust and be like, hey, listen, sorry, I got stuck behind a school bus on the way here. School bus broke down, right? Because like here, if I don't leave at a certain time, I get stuck with elementary and middle school or high school traffic. So, but people are like, okay, but if you're really good at what you do and adjust, then there. But if you do all those things really good, you'll be fine. But if you're honest with people, like, dude, we don't have a secretary. It's like when I say that I will call you back as quickly as I can, I will, So I would get really good at what you do and make it a high value thing. And from there, everything else will be fine because you won't have trouble getting paid. Because if you're like, man, I have this beautiful gym set up. I took out a loan and I don't know what to do. Should I do a leg extension like this or like this? And then you're like, oh my gosh, because we think that the things that we get are the magic. No, you are the magic. Your mind, what you feed it with, you are the magic. You are providing the service. The machine is a tool that you tend to use. And so I think people will tend to think like all these things make it look really pretty. And then the people that come in originally, they're like, oh, I love the gym. It's so nice. It's clean. They're gone. They're gone because they see the value when they get bored with that new car or whatever, they're going to sell it and get a different one. So I think if you build value in yourself and you are the person that's the value, you'll be fine. So that's the only advice. I would get really good at what you do. And if you're not good at communicating, work on it. If you're not good at doing programming, work on it. If you don't understand what bone is what, you need to know it. Those things, look within yourself and figure out what you need to work on. Like I started watching the Derek Jeter documentary, Captain, and Michael Jordan said something about him. I tweeted it, but essentially he said, he's like, I love Derek Jeter. He's a competitor because he'll look in the mirror and think, what do I need to work on? What do I need to get better at? And that will inspire others. He goes, that's a championship mindset, right? He's never like, well, if we had a better pitcher or if that guy would stop making errors, he'd be like, what do I need to do? What do I need to get better at? And that's the thing is I think that can make you better. If you figure out what you need to get better at, you inspire others. You just keep rolling. Dude, anyways, I'd watch that. It's really good though. Anyways, but yes, that's what I would do is get good at what you do.
Skill stack. Take those skills, get good at them, stack them together, and you'll have an impossibly amazing offer.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So everyone listen, Curtis Clay of Curtis Clay Training. You have to go check out his stuff. I mean, Curtis, honestly, like I've said, we've talked about this before. I mean, I know we've got a bit of a bromance where we talk about each other's stuff, but I big fan of all the things that you do. I'm jealous you got a drone in your facility. My old people don't like drones, so we're not going to have it here, but I'm super jealous of it. So everyone, check out Curtis Clay's marketing. Check out his Instagram, his website. It's just super clean, super sharp. But more importantly, and if you have any questions, pardon me for saying this, but reach out to Curtis and ask him because I'm sure he's, as you can tell, he's a super good guy.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Same to you, man. And so thanks for having me on, man. This was great. This is fun. It's always good to catch up.
Yeah, man. The next time I'm going to have you on, it'll be another you, me, Jacques, and Mike thing. We'll try and see if we can set up for the end of the year.
For sure, dude. Yeah, let me know and I'll make it work for sure.
Just text me back on time. Come
yes, for sure. Yeah, dude.
on.
People treat, I don't know what they do there, man, but people treat text messaging here like email. So like I'll get like, I'm like, no, just send me an email.
Yeah.
Like,
Everyone's
like,
doing that now.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. I don't
That's
like
a
it either.
pivot. That's a pivot I gotta make.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Fitness Pro Mentors Podcast. Curtis, thank you so much for your time, taking it out of your busy day, and congratulations on all your success.
Same to you, bro. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Bye, everybody.
All right, buddy.